Okay, so how to handle repeat behaviors in the classroom. This is all about student hitting, safety needs, and classroom management strategies. If you've ever had a student who keeps hitting over and over again, even after you've redirected or given consequences, you know how frustrating and overwhelming it feels. That's exactly the question we got from Irina last week. How do you deal with repeat behaviors in your class, like a kid hitting another kid multiple times? And if this is something that you're struggling with, we've got a free tool called the Student Needs Checklist that helps you figure out exactly why students repeat certain behaviors. You can grab it when you comment checklist in the comments. It walks you step by step through what I'm about to explain. So, comment checklist. Okay, so defining the problem. A lot of repeated behaviors, like hitting, are what we call maladaptive. They're maladaptive behaviors. These behaviors are persistent, high priority, and resistant to change. They don't happen for no reason. They're caused by stress and compromised needs. In some way, the maladaptive behavior is fulfilling a need that isn't being met. Now, the Meet the Needs method tells us to look at 5 core needs: safety, comfort, autonomy, belonging, and competency. And that is fully covered in that checklist too. Today, we're going to focus on safety, because when safety is compromised, that's often when repeat behaviors like hitting show up. So we need to get into the brain science, such as the brain's control center or executive functioning versus the survivor brain or the limbic system. So here's why the maladaptive behavior happens. Our brain has a control center. That's executive functioning. It's the part of the brain that controls impulses, uses memories to predict outcomes, and helps kids or anyone cope with big emotions. But executive functioning uses a lot of brain energy, and the brain only has so much energy before it goes into what I call low power mode. When the brain is in low power mode, the control center shuts down and the survivor brain takes over. The survivor brain is designed for survival and survival only. Its only concern is to keep us alive. The survivor brain doesn't care about math, reading, writing, or following all of those beautiful expectations that you designed at the beginning of the year. The survivor brain cares about noticing and staying away from threats like predators, and noticing and seeking out rewards like food or shelter. So when a student starts hitting, they're not choosing to misbehave. In fact, there's no choice involved. And this is where people really get confused about misbehavior and why a lot of us are yelling about it. To choose to misbehave requires the brain to be able to predict what will happen after the behavior, understand that prediction, and how it relates to the self. Consider other methods of responding and choose the misbehavior. That's a lot. That requires a lot of executive functioning. It requires logic, reasoning, planning, predicting, etc., etc. If the student is choosing the misbehavior, they are in full control. They have full connection of their executive functioning. They're regulated, they feel safe, and they have thought through the behavior, and then they chose to hit, which would, by definition, make them a psychopath. So ask yourself, do you think that student is a psychopath? And if yes, you should alert the school psychologist. If no, the student is operating out of their survivor brain. Their executive functioning has shut down. They're acting impulsively. The survivor brain has taken over and impulsively decided, I'm not safe right now. And instead of flight, they're choosing to fight. So now we need to link back to needs instead of focusing only on the behavior. We have to focus on the root of the maladaptive behavior, which leads us to ask, which of the 5 needs are compromised? Remember, safety, comfort, autonomy, belonging, competency. In this case, we're going to focus on safety. When the maladaptive behavior is aggressive and protective, it is typically a compromised sense of safety. Safety can be compromised in a classroom in lots of different ways. Frequent isolation, like sending kids out into the hallway. Use of threats or rewards. Sensory overload, like things being too loud, too bright, too much. Unpredictability in the routine. This looks like transitions, change, anything that is hard for the brain to predict. Harsh tone or aggressive body language, like standing over a kid, your hands on your hips, or alienation from their peers. When we identify which of the 5 needs is compromised and how it's compromised, it gives us a clear path to address the root of the behavior. So now for some practical classroom strategies. If safety is compromised by frequent isolation and alienation, we need to reduce isolation and increase connection and contribution opportunities. I have a blog series on how to create belonging in the classroom. You should definitely check it out because it's all about creating contribution opportunities for your students. And it is right now linked in my stories. If it's unpredictability in the environment that's compromising safety, we need to increase student familiarity with spaces and tools. Practice, explore, and practice some more. Get them familiar with the space and navigating it. If it's unpredictability caused by change or transitions, we need to prep students with clear warnings and give their brains enough time to prepare for the transition. Transition and change is a huge trigger for any brain. Give the brain enough heads up and enough time to get comfortable with the fact that it will be changing either its environment, its expectations, or the activity. Remember, the brain loves predictability. When it can predict what's next, it feels safe. So anything you can do to help the brain predict what's coming next and what to expect, the better off you and your student will be. So these are just a few examples. By meeting the need of safety, you reduce the brain's reliance on the maladaptive behaviors, like hitting, to keep itself feeling safe. By meeting the need of safety, you keep the brain's control center or executive functioning on and avoid the survival brain from taking over. So, in summary, everything I just talked about, it's why the full Meet the Needs method is super, super duper important, because it walks you through interviewing the student, interviewing a close adult, observing the behavior, and considering things like neurodiversity so you can pinpoint exactly which need is compromised, and you can apply a strategy that will actually address what's wrong. When it comes to choosing and applying strategies to prevent maladaptive behavior, We should not be out here throwing darts at a dartboard. It's not effective. It's not productive. So if you want to learn more, comment checklist. I'll send you the free student needs checklist. You can learn all about the meet the needs method. You can learn all about the 5 needs and ways that they're typically compromised in the classroom. If you'd like more information on our blog, you can check it out in the stories. Right now, our blog series is all about building authentic contribution opportunities in the classroom to increase the need for belonging. I hope that this brought you a lot of valuable information, and I will see you soon. Bye.